These recipes are going to make your taste buds melt. 4 different internationally inspired meals on today's video. Check it out. This was such an easy and fun soup to make. So simple yet so delicious. You're gonna use bouillon or broth, then add some garlic, your washed and rinsed baby bok choy, and your mushrooms. Now, I couldn't find any wontons, so I got these pork pot stickers, and I'm trying to do gluten-free right now, so I chose the gluten-free variety. But you definitely can use whatever you can find. And you're gonna add your soy sauce, and if you like a little spice, some roasted red peppers and green onions just right before you serve it. So simple, so easy, yet so delicious. Now my family likes fried ramen, so we had a little bit of fried ramen with ours as well. For this recipe, I chose to roast my broccoli separate. Normally you would just saute it in the pan with your other things, but my son, who doesn't do very good at eating his vegetables, said he would eat vegetables if I roasted it. So it's a little different than what the recipe called for, but you can do what you want to do. So I added my seasoning, added a little bit of cheese, and then I put them in a pan to roast. Now once those were in the oven cooking, I took my flank steak and I sliced it up into thin slices. Once that was all sliced, I salt and peppered the meat and tossed it together to evenly coat. Added a little bit of oil to my pan and started to fry the meat slices. Now my broccoli was ready, so I pulled that out and set it aside and continued cooking my meat. Now I made this sauce while the meat was cooking down with some honey and cornstarch, soy sauce and water, some ginger and garlic. Mix that up well and then add it to your meat. Give that a few minutes to thicken up. And again, like I said, you could do your broccoli directly in this pan to simplify things. Once it's got a nice sauce, thick sauce, it's ready to serve. Add a few green onions right before you serve it and eat it with rice. This was a new recipe for me. I've never made this before. My daughter has made butter chicken before, and this is similar. So I went ahead and added salt and pepper to my chuck roast that was chopped up, coated that evenly, and then I stuck it in the pan just to fry the outside for a few minutes. Once that was fried up, I removed it from the pan and then added my chopped onions and sauteed those in the pan for a little bit. Then I added all my spices. Now, if you don't recognize all of them, look them up because some of them you can make on your own. That's the wonderful thing about this recipe is it calls for so many spices, which makes it so delicious. Now, once you add your spices and your other ingredients, you add back your meat, and if you like a little spice, you can add cayenne, and you just let that, you bring it to a boil and then you let it simmer, turn down the heat and let it simmer for an hour until the meat is soft. Now I asked my daughter to make fresh naan bread to go with this recipe because she's really good at it. And I decided to add some yogurt and some salt, even though the recipe didn't call for that, because there's other recipes that have, like butter chicken, like I was saying before, that have the yogurt in it and makes it really yummy. And then I sauteed up some vegetables I had in my fridge, and my daughter made the naan bread, and it was so good. And even though I'm trying to stay away from wheat, from gluten, I did have to have a piece of that naan bread because it's so good. Now this last recipe was also so easy and delicious. The hardest thing was chopping up the chicken thighs. So if you want to get ground chicken, that would save you some time. So you add your chicken to the pan and cook that up, and then you'll make your sauce. And you want to use a light soy sauce, otherwise it will be too salty. Mix that up, and then you're going to add that to your chicken. And of course I like a little spice, so I added roasted red pepper flakes. And then just saute that until it's thickened a little bit. Add your green onions, some sesame seeds, and then you can add this to lettuce or rice, whatever you fancy. Again, I had some vegetables in the fridge I just sauteed up with these wraps. This was such a delicious week. I loved this food so much. I hope you can find something that's yummy and useful for you and your family to use this week. And I will see you guys here again next week. Bye-bye.